Welcome to the June Stowe Sparks. My name is Dawna Jones, and about a year and a half ago, my colleague and I, Saunders Houston, who's in Australia on a completely different time zone, and I started this program to really share ideas worldwide on what's new in management innovation and just exchange ideas, because there's a lot of change going on, and the more we know about what each other's doing, the better. Today, I'm really delighted on the program to have Helen Walton, Jack Hubbard, and Laurence McCahill. And so what I'm going to do is, just to give you a bit of an overview, we're going to go through, it's a 15-minute program, so if you block that off, that's what we're doing. The topic today is business better? What's the whole business around scaling and company and success in business? So 3 very different companies. And at the end of the program, I'll give you a discussion. So keep that on there. Let's just start with introductions. Helen, can we just walk across the slide strip and introduce yourselves?
Hi, so I'm Helen Walton, and I'm one of 3 founders at a small tech startup called GameV, and we build online games. I hope the clue may be within the name. But also, and somewhat to our surprise, we're organizing a conference called Start the Change on new business methods, and that's how I met the lovely Laurence and Jack.
And me too, actually.
And you.
That's true. Okay, Jack.
Hi, yeah, I'm Jack Hubbard. Nice to meet you. I'm the founder and CEO of Propellernet. We were voted the best search agency in Europe, and also the greatest small workplace in the UK due to our approach on making life better for our staff and general well-being. That's me.
Thank you. And Laurence.
I'm not sure I can follow that, but I'll try. So my name is Laurence McCahill. I run a company called the Happy Startup School, and we help startups and entrepreneurs work through their business and help them build a business based on people before profit. So not just focused on an exit strategy, helping people to build meaningful companies. And that can be through events, workshops, and also helping them to build those products out.
Great, thanks very much. Now, let's just, an overall from each of you, I mean, one of the things I noticed when we start putting ideas out about how to do innovative approaches to management, make workplaces better and make it better for everyone, but also add better value, stronger value. The first thing that always comes up is, if it doesn't scale, it doesn't work. There's this funny thing around it's a capacity to dismiss an idea that if you can't scale it. So what's your reaction to that notion?
I think it's a very natural question, but I also think it's entirely the wrong question. I think people associate size with stability, with success, and perhaps that is much more how it used to be. But certainly in the modern working environment, it's really not like that. You can't scale people, but you can scale value. And it means looking at different measures of our success, whether you're looking at profitability per employee, or indeed whether you're looking at a different type of measure altogether, like how happy your employees are, how successful the business is in the sense of it has a long-term future to stay around.
Anyone else?
Yeah, so I think I'll go on, Jack.
Okay, thanks, Laurence. Yeah, we have an agency model, which is a professional services model where we bill out at a day rate. And the only way we could scale that model is by adding more people. And if we doubled in size and it doubled the number of people, there's no extra money to go around to make life better for our staff, and the purpose is of our business is to make life better for our staff and for our customers. So to ensure that we focus on creating value and putting our innovation into doing better instead of just doing more, we focus on revenue per person. So if we can increase the revenue per person on an ongoing basis, then there's going to be more value created, and then there's going to be more resources available to make life better for our staff. So we're starting now to, we've got to a point where we've capped the agency model because we feel 60 is the ideal size for a creative agency, and now we're looking to take some of the products that we've created internally and make spin-off companies that can scale without adding more people, and then we can increase the revenue per person that way.
Interesting. Okay, Now, Lawrence, what about you because the startups, we know startups are the drivers for the economy. I mean, those are some statistics I've come across. What's your response to that idea about scaling and success?
Well, I think it's one of the first questions we ask people when we tend to work with them is, what is success really for them? Because I think, like Helen said, really, it's success in the traditional sense is scale, is numbers, is hockey stick growth. But I think often that doesn't fit everyone's needs. Whether you're trying to build a lifestyle business, although I hate that term, or you're trying to build an international business. I think really it's about defining what success is for you. And like Jack said, I think being clear about the purpose of the organization, because I think that then helps to be able to define what the outcome should be. So I think everyone's different. Everyone's kind of intention for setting up a company is different. So I think the first thing for me is making sure the founders are all on the same page. If there's more than one of you, to make sure that you've both got the same ideas of what success looks like. Because I think often we see people have different intentions going into business. It's only when they get a big deal on the plate or a hire that comes on that they don't agree on that they start to have those difficult conversations. So I think, it's something that people don't often think about enough at the early stage, but I think it's really important because at some point you're going to have to make those difficult decisions, I think. So, I think often people define success after the event rather than before. So that's the challenge, I think, at the early stage.
Sounds like there's two parts to that. One, define success, and the other one, be clear about your purpose.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they're interlinked, really, because, there are reasons why companies exist, and often that can relate to a desired outcome, or it could be something personal. So sometimes people know exactly what the business would look like in 5 years' time. Other times it's just about, like, I just want autonomy, or I just want to be my own boss, or, they haven't thought about what the business looks like. I think it's not something that you always know straight off, but it's certainly something to start that thought process.
Great, thank you.
I'd just say it's quite new, I think, the way we look at this, though, because, I mean, to take an example, Instagram sold in 2012 for $1 billion, as I'm sure we all know, and it had 13 employees. And if you think about the kind of company that it's following on from, so Kodak was once worth a lot more than Instagram. At its height in 1997, it was worth $30 billion. It didn't have 30 times as many employees. It had a lot more than that. It had about 87,000 employees. So the way our very competitive environment has changed through technology to permit us to scale value in a completely unheard of way means, I think, our way of thinking, our paradigm for thinking about business has not caught up with the new competitive reality of the way value can be created. And of course, as Jack says, when it's services, it's often much harder because you do need to scale people, and people don't scale very well because people come with really high coordination costs that can, frankly, mean that as you add another person, you add so much extra cost and so much extra coordination that you end up just staying still. So your company stays as profitable or unprofitable with 2,000 people as it was with 20, and that can be a very painful experience for a lot of companies.
Jack, your company decided to stay small. You've talked a little bit about why. What's the whole business for you on that decision? Like if you're working with a company or being mentoring a company, for example, on growth, how would you help them make that decision on scaling or not? Or what would you...
I think it would be more about helping them to scale value. There's such a drive to just grow, add more clients in, add more staff in, and all you're doing is adding more headaches in, because clients bring servicing headaches, staff bring HR headaches, so you just scale all these headaches, which is just a toxic thing to do. It's not good for the world, really. So by staying small and developing your model to a point where it's working really well, staff are happy, clients are happy, you're creating value for staff, you're creating value for clients, it's the center of value creation, it's making the world a better place, then great, then that's something to scale. It's just hard to do, as Helen said, with people, because because the culture changes. We like a culture of 60 people. We know, because we've been there working in an agency of 200 people, you don't know everybody's name. You have to use process and policy and procedure in place of, you know, values and culture and common sense. So everything becomes administration, and people switch off, and that kills innovation. That kills creativity. But any agency will be told, and I've been told by 10 different consultants, that what you need to do is scale. You need to get 3 years consecutive growth, draw a hockey stick, and then sell to WPP, and then you're locked into a 5-year earn-out. You lose control, and you've got to hit your annual numbers. And maybe in 8 years' time, if you do really, really well, you might just be able to move to the mountains and retire. And it's just like that's the way that the entire marketing services agency world thinks. It took us quite a while to come out of that. So actually, we've got a great business. We've got happy staff. We've got happy customers. We want to just do more and more interesting work and just, you know, continue with what we're doing, because it's creating a lot of value for us. We're loving what we do. Our clients love what we do. Let's not break that. It's working for everyone. But we had a couple of people in our company that were wanting to do something new, and they were passionate about technology, so we gave them the option to do that. And they've created something now which can scale. So it's really about deciding what to scale, not just scaling for scaling's sake. It's like, if you scale it, is it going to make life better for you? Will it work for your customers? Will it work for your staff? And if it does, then great, scale it. But if you're just scaling something that it's not refined, it's got some headaches in there, you know, then you're just going to create more and more and more problems. You're going to make your day-to-day more and more painful, and it's to hide into nothing, because even if you sell, you're not going to hit your numbers, and you're not going to get your earn out, and it's a complete waste of everyone's time. So stay small, and iron out the headaches. And then when you have this perfect business model, then I think that's something to look at scaling. But people try and scale too quickly, I think.
And it sounds like it's based on the assumption that scaling creates success. Therefore, as soon as it's an unconscious decision. You don't think about it. You fall into it, more or less.
It's like, what are you scaling? I'm proud of scaling some of the stuff we do, because it makes life better for more people. The more people that work in Propellernet and are touched by our culture and our values and our mission, that's motivating for me. If we've got a great product and it's making life better for a lot of customers, that's motivating. You're doing something that's good, and you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it because it's like you're bringing some value into the world. And that's motivating. So having this mantra for us, will it make life better, and always asking that question, then that guides our decision making on what to scale, what not to scale, and what to do, what client to take on, what client not to take on. Because you're doing it not for money, you're doing it to create value for people.
Yeah, very solid.
And then money follows that. Money follows that.
Exactly. Laurence, what's your experience with startups and watching them go through this arc of and hit that question around, what do I do next in terms of scale? How do I grow? And the whole business of balancing aspirations with practicalities.
Well, I think going back to Jack's point, really, I think probably the main reason startups fail is they try and scale too quick. You know, too many are focused on that. They think they try and scale before they've got a business model that works. You know, they're trying to think about international expansion before they've nailed, a market. So I think there's actually when is right, I suppose, and then it's the growing pains of getting to that. I think the bit we focus on is like Jack talked about, company culture and kind of customer experience, really. Like, if you can focus on the culture, I think that everything else will fall into place. So I think for us, we've taken lead from companies like Zappos in the States, Patagonia, a lot of forward-thinking companies that put company culture at the heart of their business model, really. And if you create the right conditions for people, then obviously you need a great product or service, but it's not good enough. You need to get the people thing right. So I think, our approach is very much like, if you can get the company culture right from day one, even if it's only 2 of you, then you've put in the building blocks to be able to make scaling possible. So pinning down your purpose, pinning down your values, really working out what your story is and why you exist as a company, really. I think most startups just focus on the mechanics, the why, the how, and the what, not the why. So we really focus on the why bit and getting people to stand back and think about that. Because when you're head down and you're on that journey, it's hard to stand back and actually look at what you're doing. So, I think it's trying to build those sustainable blocks in place so that that scaling part becomes easier, because you know who to hire, you know where you want to scale, so you know which deals to take on, and that should become clearer, you know, when you get to those decisions, really.
Structures are part of that, so I absolutely agree with Laurence that the structures that you embed make your culture real, so beyond being just words. And an example of a type of company that I think tends to get this right is employee ownership. Because if you're employee owned, every time you take on someone new, you are diluting your own profit share. Yeah? So you only take on someone if you're convinced that they are going to add more profit to the company in total than you will be losing by not taking them on. So that's an example of a really pragmatic structure that helps you expand scale only when you scale your value by so doing. Of course, sometimes you take on risk. You don't know that someone's going to deliver you profit, but you think they are, and that's why you're scaling.
All right, we've got our 15 minutes on the nose here. You're all going to be at July 3rd and 4th in London. Last time I gave the wrong dates, so I've hopefully got them right this time. Why are you speaking there, Jack and Laurence? And I know, Helen, you've been organizing this. So why is this conference important to all of you? Let's just give you one-liners on each of that, and then I'll give you the tip for the day.
I love the concept. Spark the change. I've been on my journey now for 12 years. I've always been operational. I've got the business to a point now where I have a story and I want to share it, because if it works for us, I want to share it to hopefully inspire and provide some practical use for other people, and connect with like-minded souls. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to be there. Laurence?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, really. In terms of me, it's really, I like the message. You know, a lot of the kind of the ethos of what you're trying to do with the conference is the kind of thing we do with the Happy Startup School. So we're doing an event later this year, summer camp, which is, you know, a bit similar in terms of ethos, but more out of the sticks. So in the kind of countryside, getting everyone away so they can unplug for a few days. So yeah, a lot of the topics that will be covered then will be fairly similar. I think my angle is really just, and our kind of ethos is really making ideas accessible, so breaking down barriers to making an idea happen. So my session is really going to be about how to visualize your ideas and sell those internally if you've got an existing team, but just a way to kind of like get away from plans and trying to predict the future, and just getting down and dirty and doing the fun stuff, really. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Helen?
We started Spark in a way just because we're too argumentative. So people kept saying to us, your stupid ideas, they won't work at scale. And in arguing about that, we found ourselves contacting people like Jack, people like Laurence, and before we knew it, we'd built a program of people who could help us argue back and go, no, it will work. And you know what? It does also work at scale. People who manage their companies, people who run their businesses differently, do work at scale, and a lot of those kind of companies will be at Spark as well. Redgate Software, Unilever, there will be some very interesting companies of all different sizes explaining how we can build better businesses and happier workplaces that operate very differently to the normal paradigm of management.
So I'm sad because I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and can't make these dates, and I'm extra jealous as well. Is there any, besides registering and going to the conference in London, how else can we participate, Helen?
I am so glad to tell you that thanks to the wonderful Lizette Sutherland, there will be a robot at Spark, a Beam Pro robot, which you can book a ticket for, you can drive it from your computer, from your home, from your desk, wherever. You will be able to roll around Spark as a robot, interacting with people. If you've ever seen them, they are so awesomely cool. Although I should point out that, like Daleks, they can be defeated by stairs.
Oh, good point. I'm sure we can overcome that. All right, so I'll put the link up for that along with this and this program. And for more information, go to sparkthechange.com. Helen's got it on her lower third. Now, your tip.
Ooh.
That's it. brought that in just in case, you know, you missed that. And you know, I have to say Helen inspired it because of what she was doing for her daughter's birthday. It was a special thing, and I've never forgotten it, so there you go. All right, thanks to you all for joining me in this program. Next week I've got Martin De Winter speaking on a tool he's developed to help managers not, and this is more traditional organizations, help managers not dump too many tasks on their employees and create fatigue. So that's next week's program. Thank you all for being on this one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.